Aloha nui kako. For those of you that don't know me, my name is La'akea, and I work for Huliao Pa'a. Many of you recognize me from Kuhia Waho, which is the nonprofit that my ohana and I have built out in Waiawa. And this is where these workshops were originally supposed to be held. But I'm a little grateful too, because these past couple of days have been really rainy and muddy. And so still grateful to have this technological platform that we can still all be able to gather at this time. So as of late last year, I was given the opportunity to work with Huliao Pa'a, and that's also when this collaboration with KUA started. And it was really a way for our hui to package years of practice in research techniques and methodologies in WAHI KUPUNA stewardship, and be able to share it out to community and people that are stewards in all of their own respective aina. As I've seen going through this process on my own, that the research has really helped myself and my ohana towards rebuilding Kuhia Waho towards like this Hawaiian cultural landscape that has been lost for so long, that I'm sure that everyone here has seen it in their own aina. And I was super excited because I could only hope that these workshops would help you folks in the same sense that it really helped our organization in Waiawa. And so we like to think of this series as we're building it out and trying to make it a little bit different from other educational workshops, in the sense that we're trying to mimic a sense of us all being together. And we want it, when times permit, to be as interactive and lively as possible. So we encourage you that as you're watching this, that you use your chat, you use your reactions. If you see something or you hear something that you like, give it a clap or a thumbs up, and just be ready to turn your audio on and your video on, so that we can see each other at the beginning and the end of each workshop. And so I wanted to go through the agenda real quick too, and we'll pretty much be following the same agenda for each workshop. We'll hold protocol in the beginning, give a brief mana'o of what is to expect, and then we'll hold our breakout rooms as really just times to reflect and share out things that maybe we've learned from the last workshop, or from the ha'awina that we'll be giving out. And really, again, the ha'awina is used to guide and supplement your at-home research, and also gives us some talking points in our launa time. So if there's something really, really fun and exciting that you found out about your aina and you want to share it, then this is the time to do so. And and after we go through that time, will lead us into the lecture series. And I want to point out right now too that we're recording this workshop, but it's only as a means to continue to share out this as an educational resource. And the beginning and the end of each workshop will be cut out. So we're only sharing the lecture itself. We won't be seeing all of your faces, and that won't be shared out for everyone to see. But after each speaker, we'll have some time to ask questions, and then we'll have a short break in between our speakers today, and that's just to give us all some relief, stand up, stretch out, and then at the end we'll go into some surveys for us, and I promise it only takes us about 3 minutes to go through. It's very quick. And then a group key for all of us, since there's so many people here and we want to be able to capture it all. But with that being said, again, we're super excited to be able to do this for you folks. And the last thing I wanted to do is I wanted to hand it over to Kepo'o, because he's the one who kind of coined the inoa for our workshop series. And I wanted him to share out his mana'o on that. So, Kepo'o, can you share with us, please?
Yeah, hello, kako. O Kepo'o, kili pa'akawa no honuli mai au aka no kona ko ohana makalala o ko makuakane mai ki me hona no. Yeah, aloha, so excited to join you all in this workshop series. So I'll try to be brief because I'm usually very long-winded, as you'll see soon. But yeah, so a little bit about the name of the workshop. Personally, I really like these metaphors around Vai as metaphorical for Ike. And so I'm thinking about Vai and the cycle that it goes through in the hydrological process, and from evaporation up into the sky, back down to the earth, and then back to us. I kind of see Ike as going through a similar process of transference across multiple generations of our existence, from our kupuna, from ancestral times, to those kupuna more recently, and to ourselves in the present day, and those kupuna who are to be born after us. And so, given that metaphor, kind of look at the word huevai, or that ipu, that gourd that's used to really gather the vai, and how that can also be metaphorical of, like, not just some way to gather this vai or this ike in this case, but it also is for like a very specific purpose, right? The ipu itself gives you some kind of constraints as far as how much vai you're going to get as well. It might where you gather it determines what, you know, what kind of vai you're going to get also. So this to me is kind of metaphorical about, like, what kind of research are we doing, and when we do research, how do we kind of narrow that scope to a very specific purpose. That word ukuhi, perhaps not as familiar of a word, but it means to dip, to gather water. It also means to redistribute it, as to pour out. And I found this used within the context of a kahu in the mo'olelo of Pueo and Iole. It's found in Pukui's He Mauka'au Hawaii. And it's for the kahu of this omakua. And they gather vai for this omakua and then feed vai to the omakua. And so I see a lot of you actually as kahu for your own aina, for your own organizations. These are places that you all ho'omana and ho'oulu to some extent. And so kind of see this vai as something that you will use, this ike, to feed the places and the people that you have koleana to, and in turn we are also fed. And that was my kind of long-winded attempt at a brief description of our workshop name. Mahalo, everybody.
Mahalo ke po'o. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Kelly, and she's going to explain just a little bit about Kuleana Pa'a right now in our organization, and kind of just what we've been working on and what we do.
Unmute. Okay, mahalo la'a, aloha nui kako. The host said spot, so later. My name is Kelly Uyoka. For those of you that don't know me, I'm the executive director of Kuleana Pa'a. And like La'a said, we're super stoked to be here today, running workshops like these. For those of you that malama on the ground, our wahi kupuna, our aina has been something we've been wanting to do for a while now. And so we're super stoked to be able to actually implement this. And it's really exciting to see such a diverse group of people. Excited to just share a little bit about how we use multiple sources, multiple lenses to further develop our understanding and relationship in Pilina to our aina. So before we get back into our activities and discussions for the day, I just wanted to take a couple minutes just to introduce to you Kuleana Pa'a, who we are, what we do, and how these workshops kind of fit into our larger mission of caring for our wahi kupuna. And so for us, these workshops have really been a kako effort. All of our staff are here today on Zoom with you all. So if you guys could just raise your hands, I'll just introduce our hui, Dominique Cordy, Momi Wheeler, Kepo'o, Kylie Luga, Lilia Marin, and La'akea. And like I say, we've all been taking, different kuleana at different roles and developing these workshops, and you'll be able to meet all of these guys, and they'll all be sharing different things that they're really ma'atu and they have expertise on over the next 4 weeks. But I'd like to just give a special shout out to La'akea. As she mentioned, she's our kupu intern, and she's just done such an awesome job alakaing this project for us, and really stepped up to the challenge of figuring out innovative ways to change it from actually being on the aina all together face to face to doing this virtually. And she's done a really great job working with Nigel and Kua. So just wanted to acknowledge her for all the hard work she's put into this. So, oh, how do I, next slide. Okay, here we go. So a little bit about our organization. We were created by a hui of us in 2011 as really a way to create a safe, nurturing environment and ohana for those of us that were getting into this realm of cultural resource management or WAHI KUPUNA stewardship. A lot of us that have been in this field or went to school in anthropology, archaeology, really witnessed a lot of issues, really complex issues in cultural resource management that had many layers to them, but really at the crux of it was that Hawaiians and Kama'aina did not have a role in determining the fate of our own cultural resources. So we knew we needed to make a change in this field. And we figured if we stack the industry with our own people, with people from Hawaii that call Hawaii home, build a critical mass of us, we could really try to force change in the way cultural resource management is done in Hawaii, which would have a positive impact on the health of our resources and the health of our communities. So really building capacity through a bottom-up approach has been our avenue to change. And we envisioned Huliawa Pa'a as a way to bring more Oiwi perspectives and practices into the work we do and giving more Hawaiians and Kama'aina roles in managing our own resources. So our primary effort, the project and program that really kicked us off is the WAHI KUPUNA internship program. And this is an AINA-based internship program that really strives to mentor and motivate Hawaiian and Kama'aina Haumana college students to utilize their Ike Kupuna, to connect with their Aina and their Kaia'ulu, to obtain higher education degrees, and to really gain the professional skills they need to become leaders in the resource management field. And so through this program, we really try to root everything in a Hawaiian perspective, from how we approach being on the Aina, how we work with our kupuna and our communities, and how we collect, interpret, and disseminate Ike. And so we bring these different knowledge sources together and approaches in a way that's much more holistic than just doing a typical archaeological field school. Our second primary initiative that was launched in 2017 is the Kali'okapa'akai Collective. And this was really created out of a need to bring many of us in different sectors that work with WAHI KUPUNA together, to reframe the way we think about resource management and to make sure an Oiwi lens and our voice is at the table. And so it's a way that we've been able to, as Huliawa Pa'a, the backbone organization for this collective, to exchange ideas, to organize, to elevate our practices, to better support our communities, and to really increase our collective impact in WAHI KUPUNA stewardship. So over the past few years, we've been meeting and just trying to figure out ways to really develop a common agenda for advancing WAHI KUPUNA stewardship. And then these four categories or themes are really what we're focusing our energy on tackling at the moment. We're going to be coming out with the current state of a cultural resource management report this year. And these topics will also be carried out through community workshops in partnership with the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. And so lastly, we do all of this because we know all of the Ike and all of the wealth and treasures that our kupuna left for us. And so we're taking the past and use it to revitalize us today. And so we're really excited about the workshop series that can, just start to introduce you to our interdisciplinary and indigenous models and approach to cultural resource management. And our approach really, acknowledges that we are a living, breathing, evolving culture, and that we're still here today and we're still connected to the places of our kupuna. And we're really doing away with the old model that archaeological sites are just ancient relics of the past to be put in museums, and trying to instill this new paradigm that honors the places, honors our WAHI KUPUNA, and acknowledges that we want to restore and vitalize and give mana back to these places. And for us, it's not just about the places, the structures, and the artifacts, but it's our connection to them, our pilina to them, and continuing the practices at these places as a key element to our Kanaka identity. And so before I turn it over to KUPUNA, I just really want to mahalo Kua for partnering with us on these workshop series. There's a lot of people on the call today I don't know, so I'm really excited to get to know. And also mahalo Kamehameha Schools, especially Natalie Kurashima, for really supporting this idea that we had from the beginning and really helping us to formalize this partnership with KUA. We've been wanting to work with KUA for a while now, and I'm really excited that it's finally here. So with that, I will turn it over to KUPUNA. Mahalo.
Mahalo. Mahalo nui e Kelly, and yeah, aloha ho kākou. Yeah, so again, my name is KUPUNA, Kili Pa'akawa, with Huleawa Pa'a. I've been one of the program instructors and curriculum coordinators for our WAHI KUPUNA internship program, and it's a program that I really love for the sake of how we're able to kind of equip students within this task of doing different types of research within the field of cultural resource management. And with that being said, I got to say I'm super excited to be able to do this workshop with all of us, to be able to take it kind of outside of the realm of academia, out of the college system, because even our program, we target a lot of college students, and we've been waiting for years to really be able to do this with people who are on the ground in communities and work more directly with you. So mahalo and aloha hu kākou. Today we're going to focus more on ethnohistoric research, and we're going to talk a little bit about what ethnohistoric research is, what kind of information we might be seeking. We're going to look at different types of resources that you can query, that you can search. And as we go along, too, if you can't hear me because my voice is kind of weird sometimes, please just let us know in the chat. If you have questions at any point, definitely put those into the chat, and I believe we have time to address those later on. We will definitely address those questions. And with that being said, I'll get this show on the road. Okay, just waiting for the slide to change here. Make sure I'm doing things right. Okay, here we go. So maybe, all right, so first of all, what is this thing called ethnohistoric resources anyway? So we'll take some time to kind of get a little bit engaged here too. So just from that word, ethnohistoric, what kind of ideas do each of you have as far as what specific type of research this might entail? And it's actually a little general, but yeah, take a few seconds, think about that in the chat. Go ahead and tell us, what do you think ethnohistoric research is? No shame to it. Okay, I think place-based research. Yep, that's definitely an important aspect of that. Ooh, endemic history. Like that terminology. Yeah, mahalo everyone for sharing. Any other ideas? And no, this is not like school where there's not really any wrong answers here. I'm not here to bite your head off. We only do that during our internship program. I'm kidding, we don't. Studies of ethnicities, cultures. Oh, and the answers are rolling in now. Awesome. Yeah, these are all excellent answers. So keep it going if you like. I'm gonna continue rolling through the presentation. So as a lot of you shared, yeah, of course it pertains to historical information. You see the word historical in there. With the word ethno, there's definitely a focus on ethnicities. And so I believe the Merriam-Webster dictionary defines ethnohistoric as specifically research pertaining to indigenous peoples, yeah. So it definitely pertains to specific peoples. It's usually place-based. I've seen some of you putting that in your answers. And and that was the end of my slide. But yeah, basically, any kind of research pertaining to the history, the cultures, or practices of a people. For our intents and purposes here in Hawaii, then we are typically primarily concerned with those with Kanaka, with the people whose genealogy are tied inextricably to this Aina. And so, next set of questions. Given the scope of what ethnohistorical research is, and what the fact that we're doing this kind of research in Hawaii, what kind of information do you think we're typically looking for when we do this research? And a lot of you already have these kind of questions too. What kind of information are we interested in finding? Hmm. Yeah, I see traditional cultural knowledge, stories, place names, yeah, connections people to place, mo'olelo, pilina, mo'okuauhau, KUPUNA, cheat codes. Ali'i, Oli, yeah, excellent. These are all excellent types of information. So there's a whole range of things. There's a lot of, you said, can be different akua, ali'i, maka'ainana of an area, different inoa aina, which can include inoa ua, inoa makani, those names for winds and rains. Of course, definitely mo'olelo, mele, oli, and then anything pertaining to resources, being anything that feeds us, whether that be from the aina and anything that we're cultivating agriculturally, aquaculturally, or things that we are cultivating spiritually, interpersonally as well. So it's pretty expansive. It can include a large range of different types of things that we're looking for. So types of resources, different areas that we will look into when we are conducting ethnohistorical research. We'll look through different mo'olelo, where we might find different oli, mele. In mo'olelo like Kiaka, you'll find the load of place names, wind names, rain names as well. And of course, if you look back to the Nupepa, which is a massive library that we have yet to even scratch the surface of really diving into, choke insights in there as well. Other types of resources definitely include books or different types of secondary resources. Kind of flying through these different types. Also, different types of reports, which can vary as far as what type of reports. So a lot of us are familiar maybe with archaeological inventory surveys, or maybe cultural impact assessments, even environmental impact assessments. A lot of times these, even though they're like highly technical or have a very specific focus, there's usually some kind of a background section in these that can typically point us to other resources. It might point us to different newspaper articles. It might point us to different mo'olelo. And then we can expand our own research off of whatever was found in these types of reports. Perhaps what might be the most useful to us right now, given the reality of a COVID-19 world and social distancing, are online resources. And so one that we'll dive into a lot more later on that Kahiahi will walk us through is ulukau.org. I can't emphasize how amazing this database is. Like a lot of people, I feel even some of our students kind of forget that there's just a lot of wonderful things on there. If you're looking for free books, there are the load of free books on Ulukau. Definitely get on there, download them, read them. Wonderful. Nupepa.org, also through Ulukau, has a good collection of different Nupepa Hawaii. If you're looking for any mele and oli, another good starting place is Amy Stillman's Mele and Chant Index. Thrum's Hawaiian Annual is a publication that Thomas Thum put out for many years during the early 1800s. That is also available online. Also, the University of Hawaii at Manoa, their library puts out what they call different LibGuides or library guides. These are resources that's formed to basically serve as a supplement to different courses offered by the university. So they're usually really organized by specific topics. For instance, if you are maybe taking the genealogy course in Hawaiian studies, if there's a LibGuide for that, then you would find different types of resources or hints that would point you to different places that you can look to find any information on genealogy. And so there are LibGuides for all different types of topics there. And you will all have copies of this presentation too, so don't worry about trying to furiously take down notes and log down all these different websites or anything. We'll have this all provided to you. Some other indices, you have the Hawaiian Legends Index. This we have provided for you, I believe, through our website that you'll have login information on. Also, just a heads up with this index, what's called the Hawaiian Legends Index. This is basically an index to a lot of things that were written. It's kind of like old stuff written by primarily authors who are not from here. So they have a certain type of perspective, but it at least gets you into whatever their stuff is. So you can go through that, then conduct your own search through maybe other things by Kanaka authors and whatnot. And then Hanau Kaua recently published a good collection of different rain names. Pretty extensive. And I see one question about resources based in other countries. I'll think on that one and I'll get back to you a bit later. Mahalo for that question. Here, if you're looking, I heard, seeing some of you are interested in looking up wind and rain names. So here's some other wind and rain name specific resources you can check for wind names. Of course, the Mo'olelo Paka'a and Kua Paka'a, also known as the windward of La'amaumau, through the English translation. Hiaka, that one has a lot from all the way out to Papahana Mokuakia to Hawaii. She actually starts chanting the winds from like Nihoa to Kauai in the beginning. Kamapua'a, there are many wind and rain names there too. If you're looking for the Oahu ones, then the second volume is a good one to start with. Of course, your dictionaries, good places to search as well. Those two dictionaries also, FYI, available on ulukau.org for free. And for Inoa Aina, you can look through, of course, Fukuin Albert's Place Names of Hawaii. That book is also available on Ulukau for free. Different Mo'olelo. Another online resource is Lloyd Soren's Catalog of Hawaii Place Names. So like I said, that's online. And basically what this is Lloyd Soren kind of did a run through of all these different documents attached to the Mahele, the mid-1800s. And we have a whole other workshop on getting information on Mahele documents that's coming up in 2 weeks. But a quick and easy one, you can punch in. If you know the name of a place, this is a good one. You can kind of punch in and see what other information you might find attached to it. Ulukau.org, it has all kinds of stuff in there, different maps, different types of historical maps. You might find place names on there. Mahele documents, I'm really partial on this because I'm a total Mahele dork. You can find so much information on there. Usually you can find place names from the Mokupuni level or the Illinois level all the way down to a Mo'oaina level. And like I said, in the next few workshops, we'll be talking more about those. And that's kind of like a whirlwind introduction to ethnohistorical research in general. I don't know, how are we doing on time here? Did I talk too long? And
No, you're great.
okay, mahalo. And
So
I guess
when I try to unmute myself, I always change slides. So kalamai. But you're doing great on time, I think. Yeah, right now we just wanted to open it up if anybody had any questions about any of the resources that Kipo'o talked about, if you wanted to go in a little more depth in some things that he mentioned.
oh, I see one question here from Kelly. Yeah, mahalo for that. So the question is, why is this important? Why is this important for Kia'i as well? And it's something I should have touched on there. Kind of like going all over the place with my coffee right now. So yeah, one reason that conducting this ethnohistorical research is really valuable is that this is a really good starting point to really trying to do any type of research, pili to your aina, pili to your places, your oihana. We always recommend starting off with the easily accessible resources, yeah, which is kind of like your books, anything that you can find online, whatever you got on your shelf, and just really run through those and exhaust them and try and find whatever information that you can through these sort of easily accessible resources that can help you to build up a database of sorts so that you have whatever kind of place names, practices, people, names of ali'i, akua, mo'olelo, and whatnot, so that if you find that you still have gaps in information or more things that you want to research, because of course we are curious people and our kupuna are so amazingly knowledgeable and so much ike, there's always more questions. After you've exhausted these easily accessible resources, then to try and fill in those gaps in knowledge is when you can jump into a little bit more nitty-gritty research, such as like diving into different archives or different private collections if you get access to that, and those repositories. And so I just like to really emphasize the importance of starting off easy. I start with the easy stuff, like the books, whatever you can get online, then jump to the archives. We find that a lot of times when people are conducting research and they learn about archives, they get excited and like, oh, I want to jump into the archives and find everything else here, but there's a lot of information there. It can be easy to kind of get lost in all the amazing stuff you find. So having a way to focus, having a way to kind of narrow down your search so you're not being redundant, you're not wasting time, so to say, depending on like how much time you may or may not have to devote to these things. Yeah, that answers your question. Any other you know?
Well, another question that was asked is, are there any resources based in other countries that you can recommend?
Yeah, so based in other countries, I'm not sure. I saw that Kelly has mentioned she has some good resources from Aotearoa. So resources based in other countries, if we're talking about pertaining to other areas, that I'm not sure, because for myself personally, my research focus has been mostly here in Hawaii. If the other recommendations I would have would be more along the lines of archival research. Like I said, another step, which after you've exhausted resources here, you travel other places, you can go to areas like the National Archives and Records Administration in Washington, D.C., and see what kind of archival docs they have there, which is like another step in ethnohistorical research, yeah. And then Bishop Estate documentation of burial cave research. Sorry, I'm not completely clear on that. The question they're asking if there are any documentation of burial cave research by Bishop Estate. If there are, those you can probably find in the Bishop Museum archives. But anything pertaining to burials, I would recommend starting off with State Historic Preservation Division.
Kipo'o.
Hola.
Yeah, this is Damien from Ho'okena.
Hey, hola.
You know, I asked that question because I don't know if you know who Alex Kadang is.
Not too. I don't think so.
KUPUNA from Kona. He told me he accompanied some researchers from Bishop Estate. They documented some of the burial caves down in Ho'okena Beach. So I'm trying to find out if there are records of what they looked at.
Yeah, sure. Oh, and Natalie said she'll kokua you at that as well.
Okay.
Natalie. Yeah. There usually are, if people are going in and going into caves for one reason or another, especially anthropologists, there usually is documentation. As I mentioned, some of those reports may be found through State Historic Preservation Division. If it was done through Bishop Estate, they usually have records as well. So mahalo nui, Natalie, for offering to help kokua with that.
Kipo'o, do you have a favorite resource that you've had a lot of success with?
Yeah, I mean, my favorite resource, of course, is those Mahele documents, which can take you forever. They're super tedious, but I usually like to, before going that route, usually like to start with maps, an idea of the area. But if you really, really want to get down to a super basic start, you have a lot of my research is on Oahu. And so you have that book, Sites of Oahu, by Sterling and Summers, which I like as a good starting point. There's, it's missing a lot of other things, but it at least can key you into different mo'olelo. It might show you even the citations for different nupepa, where they might have gotten that mo'olelo, and I always recommend going to the original sources that they cite in the books. Yeah, don't just stop at the book itself, especially with something like Sites of Oahu. It's very helpful, but it's just a good starting point, yeah. Also, another one that can be somewhat problematic at times too is Martha Beckwith's Hawaiian Mythology. You can also find that on Ulukau. So it's a large collection of Mo'olelo, but of course it's a lot of it through Beckwith's perspective. She takes a lot from other authors like Westervelt. So these are a lot of authors who aren't from here, maybe portray some of our Mo'olelo in ways that were not originally intended, but it at least kind of functions as a good index of names for Akua. Yeah, Uncle Joe Kili Ipa Akawa is my grandpa. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Kipo'o. Also, I don't know if you folks are looking into the chat, but regarding the earlier question about resources in other countries, Pulama said that OHA is currently working with Avaya Ulu to repatriate archival documents from other countries in Europe, Aotearoa, Australia, and they're gonna make these copies available on the Papakilo database next year. So mahalo nui, Office of Hawaiian Affairs, for your work on that.
Mahalo everyone, and I guess maybe it's about time for us to take a break here or not. I think if you have any other questions, so please feel free to put it into the chat. Yeah, he has some amazing stuff to share with you about Ulukau. We have, as Lakia mentioned, some ha'avina for you following this workshop to get into, kind of get some practice in doing a little bit of this research through Ulukau and whatnot. And so we, I guess we'll talk more about that later, but we're definitely open to any questions about doing all of that. I know we have office hours that will be set later on where we can talk in more detail about how to do this work. But yeah, look forward to continuing this conversation with you all and to work together as we all learn together. And yeah, mahalo nui for letting me talk on for a little bit here. Aloha.
Mahalo Kipo'o.
Without further ado, I'd like to introduce your folks to Keahiahi. She's the librarian at Kamakuku right now. And Keahiahi, can you just explain a little bit on things that you're working on before you go into your presentation and what you're going to be speaking to us about today?
Yeah, sure. Aloha no kako. It's good to see some familiar faces, but there's also so many of you here that I don't know, so it's super exciting to be able to be in this space with all of you. Also, my headphones have been dropping out like randomly, so if you can't hear me at any point, or if you're talking and I don't hear you, just let me know. So like La'akia said, my name is Keahiahi. I'm the librarian at Kamakuku Kalani at Kanewai, Manua, Waikiki, Kona Oahu. I've been there for a couple years now. Before that, I was a librarian at Leeward Community College. And then before that was just sort of making my way through school. I think some of the stuff that we're gonna talk about today is we're gonna focus a lot on Ulukau. And I know that a lot of us have been using Ulukau over the years, right? I think Ulukau at this point has been around for a couple of decades. And so I think I wanna show today some of the new features as well as some of the newer collections. And then also have a bit of chance to talk about maybe another resource connected to Ulukau, but not necessarily a part of the Ulukau hierarchy. So it's just sort of an overview, and I'll get into it a bit with my slides. Lakia, is it okay if I share my screen?
Yes, I'll stop sharing now.
Okay, cool. Let me do this. I want to share my computer screen. Cool. Can everyone see this now? Hiki, okay, cool. Oh, let me go back to the front line. Okay, so this is what we're gonna talk about today is Ulukau and Ho'okeo. And if there are any questions at any point, please feel free to drop me a chat or just interrupt me and shout out, Kia, stop. So yeah, we're gonna make this really flexible and I want this to be useful. So please don't be ashamed, like ask questions because I wanna make sure that this is helpful. So that's, yeah, I talked about me. Here's my email, kiahiahi@hawaii.edu. If you have any follow-up questions, and I can also share this with La'akia and Kipo'o if anyone has anything that they have questions about. So like I was saying, these are the things that I sort of wanted to talk about today. Ulukau's Huli No'elo advanced search functions. the Kani Aina collection, which I think maybe some of you have seen. It came out last year, I'm gonna say maybe 6-9 months ago. And then Hokeo and accompanying concordances. And I say concordance, but it's just like a fancy word for like index. But yeah, it's sort of an index. So that's some of the stuff that, yeah, that we'll be going over. Okay, so let's start with the advanced search function in Ulukau. And this is the librarian in me wearing my librarian hat. I'm always yelling at the kids, use the advanced search feature, right? Because when you search in a database, it's a little bit different than searching in Google, right? In Google, we can search for stuff like, where is Kaneohe? Yeah, but in a database, it's a little bit different. The search function is a little bit different. And so that's some of the things that we're gonna search for today is the advanced features. But before we do that, I was wondering if anybody here has used Ulukau. I think this will help give me a baseline as far as like what stuff we're familiar with or what stuff we have questions with, and what people are using Ulukau for now. So if you guys wanna just maybe drop that in the chat, if you've used Ulukau before, and if so, what for? For some reason, even though I am sharing my screen, I can't see the chat. Ugh. That's my fault. Well, okay, do you mind reading some of the responses if there were any?
Yes, of course. There is a lot of puke, vehe vehe, new pepper, place names, inoa aina, olelo Hawaii puke.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of those great things.
Okay, cool. I think most of us are familiar with using Ulukau for the puke vehe vehe for the dictionaries. And so I think I'll start with that first because I don't know if you folks saw, but a couple months ago, maybe 3 months ago, Ulukau added another dictionary, the Combined Hawaiian Dictionary, and they added a different way to search through the dictionaries. So I'll go over that in a little bit. But just some like fast facts about what Ulukau is, right? So just like a refresher / primer, founded and maintained by Kaku'ula Ke'elikolani, the Hawaiian Language College at UH Hilo. There's a focus on language learning and revitalization. And so there's a lot of educational curriculum there in Ulukau. It's a bilingual site, which we're trying to get, right? All of our state agencies to move their sites towards bilingualism. And there's several collections that you can see on Ulukau. And again, we'll go through some of those. But there's Puke Vehe Vehe, the Mo'oku Auhau index from that is also available on Hawaii State Archives, Noa Aina index that Kepo'o was talking about earlier from Lloyd Soren. There's several Ohina Ki'i, so photo collections. Ed Greavy has deposited some of his stuff there on Ulukau. And so I think you might be familiar, Ed Greavy did a bunch of the black and white photos from like the 70s, 80s, and 90s. So he's got stuff from the water in Waihole. She's got pictures of Honani Ke. He did the Ku'e book with her. So his collection is there on Ulukau. And then Kani Aina, which we're gonna go into a little bit afterwards. And then the one thing I will say about Ulukau is don't forget about using Kahako and Okina. A lot of times when you're searching the titles, so if you're just looking for a book, right? So Ulukau has Hawaii Island Legends, right? You don't necessarily need to put the Okina in Hawaii if you're searching just for the title, Hawaii Island Legends. But if you're searching for the text within that puke, that's when Okina and Kahako become important. If you try to search Hawaii without the Okina, you're not gonna find as many things. You really gotta be careful to make sure that you are using your Okina and Kahako. And if you don't find stuff, then try the opposite, right? So if you search for Hawaii without the Okina, you don't find anything, try putting it in and searching again. So that's just something I like to remind people is that, you know, in all of the databases that we go to, because these databases are working from Western software or software that isn't really meant to support multiple languages, it's incumbent on us, the users, to be proactive in those ways. Yeah, it makes it a little bit harder for us, but that just makes us excellent searchers. Yeah, and so now I think I'll take a quick look at Uluco. So uluco.org, in case you haven't been, the homepage looks like this. And so what you'll see at the top are some of the featured collections, right? So we know that there's Puke Vehe Vehe, and this is sort of what I was talking about earlier, is that they've added another dictionary, combined Hawaiian dictionary, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later, but just know that this dictionary sort of functions like Vehe Vehe Viki Viki. If you folks have seen that, the one that came out from UH Hilo, I think last year, where it just sort of will give you all of the, let me see if I search for Lavaia, I can see Lavaia from several different dictionaries, right? And so all of this in blue is from Pukui and Albert, and then this in green is from Andrews. Yeah, and so that's one of the features of the combined Hawaiian dictionary, again, is that it combines different dictionaries into one sort of interface. Hence the name combined Hawaiian dictionary. I think the other thing that's new to the vehevehe.org function is that now you can customize your search, right? Like now you can select which dictionaries you want to look in. Before, you had 3 options when you were searching on Vehevehe. You could search in Pukui and Albert, you could search in Pukui and Albert and Mamaka Kayal, or you could search in all dictionaries, right? And you can only do those 3 kinds of searches. But now you can select which Puke Vehe Vehe you want to look in, right? And you just select the boxes here, and then it'll search in those places. So I find this function useful when I'm looking for places, because a lot of times our places are also names of, or also words in Hawaii. So like Manoa, right? Could be both a place name and a word to mean another concept. So if I'm looking specifically for the place Manoa, I'll select the 2 place dictionaries. So place names of Hawaii and Hawaii place names, and then I can search without, right? So now I'm looking at Manoa, the entry in place names, as opposed to if I now include Hawaiian dictionary, I would get the entries for what the word Manoa means itself, right? So like wide, vast, that kind. And so that's one thing that I think Uluco has helped to make the dictionaries more functional and more usable for us. I'm gonna go back a bit to the main Uluco website and just make sure that you folks know about this more button. Again, I'm wearing my librarian hat. So there are several collections within Uluco, not just the Puke and the Puke Vehe Vehe. The genealogy collection, like I was saying, is also accessible from Hawaii State Archives, place names, Bible, Mahele, curriculum, photo collection, PBS. This PBS collection is it's older. It hasn't been updated in a little bit, but still, if you're looking for stuff from like the first voyage, they've got curriculum and star maps, and they've got some mo'olelo from some of the crew. So that's what's in this PBS collection here on Uluco. But if you're looking for updated stuff, then definitely go to the PBS website directly. They've got Koa Ku Kalahale, which is the Hawaiian language column in the Star Advertiser. And so, yeah, they've got stuff from civic clubs. So I just encourage people again to look through different collections in Uluco. They've got lots of stuff. Okay, so into the searching, right? Why is it that we would use Uluco? Well, there's 2 ways that you can use Uluco. And I think most of us are familiar with this first function, which is the universal search / simple search. And this is like a basic text search for all of the text available in Uluco. So I say text because if I search for, say, Molokai, if that term isn't tagged to, say, a photo or like the PBS stuff, like a map, it won't necessarily be retrieved, right? This text search is looking again through text. So some of the media collections, their stuff might not pop up unless someone has like gone in and added that as like a descriptor. So it's kind of hit or miss if you're looking for media. So again, just focusing again that this search is is a text search through Uluco. And then just to talk about how the results are displayed, a lot of times if you're searching in other databases, they might be displayed by like a secret relevancy algorithm, right? So it's like the software sort of telling you what it thinks is most relevant to you. What Ulukau does though is separate its results first by pi or category, and then by alpha, right? And so it's always going to be this order of pi. The first pi is always going to be special features. And then if you scroll down to the next pi, it's going to be beginners and then intermediate. And then the following pi is general, and then reference follows that. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, lots in general. And reference follows that, I'll just tell you. Reference follows that, and then the pi below that is papakilo. And so it's always that order of pi. Yeah, so special features, and again, that's like different collections within Ulukau. I think you might have seen some of the special features included PBS, Mahele database, etc. Right? So that's what the special features pi is. And then it's beginners and intermediate. And those categories are really tied again to this idea that Ulukau grew out of language revitalization and curriculum. Yeah, and so those sort of that pi ho'omaka, the beginners, pi is going to be stuff for like keiki, right? So I think this is like a K through 5 kind of pi. And then this category for intermediate is going to be like intermediate aged grade levels. And like I said, the results within the pi are alpha. Yeah, so O and then P are, you can see here in the categories. So that's, again, how the results are organized. And then underneath each of the results, you can see the number of matches. So how many times your word that you searched for is located in that text. Yeah, and so this is usually useful for me because, right, if I'm looking for Molokai and I see that Olili'u Kalani has 1 match, but then Resource Units in Hawaiian Culture has 12 matches, I'll probably start here. Yeah, I'll probably start with this resource that has more matches. And so that's another kind of tool to help you get in to the book. And so once you click on the thing on the result, you get a list of places where you can see that word come up, what your search term was. You can either view the original images, which is a PDF of that text, which is helpful if you're looking for context or you want to look at how things are laid out, right? Because a lot of our puke have diagrams or they have tables, and that doesn't translate well to transcriptions. So the original text, the PDF, is helpful in viewing context, but the text is helpful in looking at specifically where that word is, right? Because all of the text results are highlighted in that page. So that's sort of like the basics for Ulukau. This is how you search, right? This is how you search, and this is how the results are retrieved, et cetera, et cetera. And again, there's 2 viewing options. You can view the PDF or you can view the transcription with the highlights for your search terms. I think one of the things that I wanted to talk about is the advanced search. So there's a lot of times, when would you need the advanced search? I think it depends on the kind of research that you're doing. So I'm asking myself questions and answering them as I go. I think the advanced search, again, just sort of helps you to build your search a little bit more, to keep your results a little bit more narrow, right? When we looked and we searched that we were looking for Molokai, there's so many results that come up, right? And nobody here, I think it's an inefficient use of time to be looking at all of those. I think the advanced search helps us to narrow down a bit our scope and make our searching a little bit more efficient. And so that's why I would recommend just clicking on the next tab, the advanced search tab. So there's a couple of options, right? You can still do a universal search, which is, again, sort of the simple search options, universal search, same. You can look for specific titles, and Ulukau provides its whole list of titles. There are about 280 titles in Ulukau. And so you can view the list of titles and click on it and be taken straight to the book. You can also view the list of authors. So if you're looking for Beckwith, or if you're looking for Kamakau, or if you're looking for Kalakaua, right, you can search for particular authors and get the titles in Ulukau written by those authors. And then I'll talk real briefly about these 2 bottom search functions, the topic and the place. So a friend and I, my friend, she's brilliant, beautiful, talented friend from Hana, Maui, Siobhan Matsuda. She's a librarian at Maui College. The two of us have been working on a project that that asks, how is it that we can better organize materials so that our collections are organized in ways that align better with Hawaiian worldviews and protocols and practices and languages, right? A lot of times when we search in a database, for example, if we look for hula, a lot of times hula is grouped in with folklore, right? But for like Hawaiians, we don't really see hula as being like a folklore kind of practice, yeah? And so what Siobhan and I are looking at is sort of trying to fully the system on a bit, like library world, the library catalog system, and make it work better for us, for our communities, and for our worldviews. And so this is our very small, very limited, very introductory stab at that. Ulukau, mahalo nui to Keiki Kawai'aia and Bob Stopper, the two po'o for Ulukau, mahalo nui to them for letting us play around a bit. Siobhan and I are still right in the middle of our grant, but this is what we've put together so far. And so also at this point, I realized that a lot of times when I do this talk, this is the point where people start to just sort of like awana on their own and go searching for their own stuff, which is totally fine. So if you're doing that, please go ahead and, you know what I mean, like make it useful. And if you have questions, like please, again, bring them back. The topic and the place feature, we started very small just to see if it could work and how does it work and what do we need to know from the software database or people and all of that kind of stuff. And so we started really small with just the Paivaina Puke, so the intermediate level books, right? So which is about 42 books of the whole 280 collection in Ulukau. So again, it's a very small scope. Additionally, the topic feature looks at these 6 topics, right? And these are topics that we chose to start with because of our own sort of like i'ini, but we could, right, this list could be expanded. Also, in nowhere are we saying that we are experts in this topic. Again, it was just sort of like, oh, this is like super cool. I've been doing hula stuff now. Let me try play around with this hula topic. And so that's the topic function. And then the place function, because we're from Oahu and Maui, we focused on those islands. And so we looked at the Moku and Ahupa'a for Oahu and Maui. And so that's really the focus for this place function. You'll see that there are results for the other islands because, right, there's a kailua on Oahu and Hawaii. There's Waimea on Oahu and Hawaii, right? There's a lot of our Ahupua'a and our Moku, right? We can see Kona on like 5 different Moku, if not all of them. And so that's why there's a little bit of overlap. You'll see some results on some of the other islands outside of Oahu and Maui. But again, the focus is really Maui and Oahu for now. We have plans to expand to the rest of Ulukau. We have plans to expand the topics. We have plans to expand to all of the Ahupua'a and Moku. With this stuff. I know that Pulama is on here, so hoping that we can set something up with Kipuka. Siobhan and I met with Zach and Kipuka. I know he's going to be presenting a couple of weeks from now, and so they helped us to really think about how it is that we could set up this sort of search function. So I'll stop talking, just sort of get into it. The topic feature, again, right, if you click on this topic, hula, and all of my examples are hula or manua, kanawai, that's what I know, so those are all my examples. We search for hula, these are how the results are sort of brought up. Title, author, and then you're gonna see the list of topics associated with that particular title, right? And this is useful because if I'm looking for hula, I might not immediately think to go look in David Kalakaua, or maybe I would, but you know what I mean? I might not immediately think to go looking in From the Mountains to the Sea, Early Hawaiian Life. And so knowing though, right, that hula has been added to that puke helps me to sort of get another entryway into another place, another resource. And so this is how the results are displayed. And then there's a search within results function at the top. So now that I think there are 21 titles here under the hula category. Now I can get even deeper into those titles, right? So say I want to look for pahu, right? Say I'm interested in hula, but you know what I mean? Like now I want to narrow down a bit to pahu. This now can narrow, I think there might be like 11 or so titles. that now have, right, associated with the hula category, also have the word pahu in the full text. And then if I just click on one of those items, it'll pull up for me where pahu is in that puke. Are there any questions at this point? And I'm sorry, for some reason I cannot see the chat, I think because I'm sharing my screen. But if anybody wants to like ask like on video questions, I'm happy to take them.
Kiahiahi, one question we got was how does Ulukau go about choosing which books that they're gonna upload into the database?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah.
Right.
That's a good question, and I'll speak to what I know. I don't work for Ulukau, so I'm just trying to think about what I know. Mostly, again, it pertains to language revitalization and their curriculum at Kahakaula. They've been inputting more puke, right? Hawaiian language puke is kind of their focus. They also prioritize puke that are makalal Hawaii and have an English accompaniment to them. Those are some of the puke that they prioritize. But again, the big focus for them is curriculum. And so that's why you'll see in Ulukau a lot of mo'olelo, right? So like la'iai kawai, ka'ehuiki, punia, o kelenui aiku, right? Those kind of stuff that people can build place-based curriculum around is the stuff that they prioritize. I will say that their latest editions were Hulili, the last Hulili volumes. Those, I think it was Hulili 10 and 11.1 and 11.2. Those are the last puke to be added to Ulukau.
Awesome, mahalo.
Mahalo for that question. I know that we are, I promise I'm mindful of the time. I'm gonna share two more things real quick. The first one is Kani Aina, and then the next one is Hokeo. So I'll just overview Kani Aina real quick. Maybe if you wanna raise your hand in your video, if you have used Kani Aina before. Okay. Yep, Kelia, I see some of us. Okay, so Kani Aina is the new database subset of Ulukau, and this is Kani Aina Voices of the Land. This is the collection of Kaleo Hawaii tapes from the Kaleo Hawaii radio program that Lale did, I wanna say 71 to 88, 72 to 88. I think that program ran regularly. I know there was like a brief hiatus, and then I think Puakea picked it up again in 91, but then it officially ended, I think, in 2000. But Kaleo Hawaii was a radio program featuring primarily Manaleo speakers. And so what Kani Aina is a corpus of digital materials, of digital audio materials. Yeah, and so a lot of this is mo'olelo from our KUPUNA, right, talking about their lifestyles. I think if some of you went to Kauaihuelani, right, like in the 90s, 2000s, you had to go to Moore Hall and you had to like go to the computer and stick in your floppy disk or your jump drive to transfer the files from the Moore Hall computer onto your stuff. So what Kani Aina does is make these digitally available for the whole world, right? No longer do you have to be located at Manoa, pay for parking, walk to Moore Hall, have the thumb drive. Yeah, now we can be wherever we are with internet and access this collection. And again, the value of this collection is that it's a monoleo collection. So a lot of our Hawaiian language resources continue to be underutilized, I feel like, when it comes to decision making and research. And so I'm just super stoked and excited about this collection being made available. I will say that they will continue to build this out. Last time I checked, there's like maybe 360 audio files available here on this collection. And again, there are several different manaleo who Lale interviewed over those 16 years, and they covered several topics, right? There's hula, there's fishing, there's kalo, there's pronunciation, there's loina. So it's again, it's just like an awesome sort of corpus to look at. When you're using Kani Aina, there are two ways that you can sort of look through it. You can do like a basic search, right? So if I search for Lavaia, I'm gonna get a list of results. Here we've got 32 results for the term Lavaia. On the left, you'll see some like information categories like presenters, collection. There's several different songs, right? So if we click on Moloka Inuya Hina, right, we'll get to see in this tape, this Kaleo Hawaii tape from 1973, from March 6th. We'll get to see where in this tape the word Lavaia is, because it'll highlight for us in the tape. Oh shoot, Colin, I should have picked a better example. This might be a long scroll. Oh, there it is. Yeah, and so for some of these that have transcriptions, you'll be able to see where the word is, so you can sort of like dig into the tape right at that point. Because again, these were hour-long radio programs, yeah, and so they're hour-long. But the transcriptions can help you again sort of get into a specific area. But this is how, you know, when you're looking at a tape, this is what it looks like. It's the transcription on the right-hand side. You can
This
play.
is Hawaiian tape, HV 24, real 20.
And it'll highlight for you sort of as it's playing, you know, where you are in the transcript. You can fast forward, et cetera. So again, it's like, and on the left is like transcription key, who is in this tape. There's, you know, songs and mele, topics, et cetera, here on the left, to help again sort of get into the tape and get into its contents. So that's one way you can use Kani'aina, is through the search function. I would also say that you can, hold on one second, look through the collections. The Kui Kamana Leo section has all of the transcripted tapes, right? Because not every tape on Kani'aina is transcribed, right? Like it's meant to be a teaching tool, so they're not going to transcribe everything, right? They want the students to be able to transcribe as they're listening, right? As like ha'avina kind of stuff. But some of them have been transcribed, and you can see that the Kui Kamana Leo collection, which has a transcription, contains 168 audio recordings. So maybe about like half, I think, of the whole Kani'aina collection. So again, you can search for the word. Again, Kui Kamana Leo is just the transcribed pieces of Kaleo Hawaii, but you can also browse by title in Kui Kamana Leo, and this is helpful to bring up topics. So the titles have, the titles in the Kui Kamana Leo are titles. They're references to different subjects. So you can see here, right, it's pronunciation, greetings, a shark swims by Ulumau village at Ala Moana. Dun, dun, dun. They have a lot of stuff related to food. I saw some stuff about like kalo and uala, fishing practices, eating raw food with ho'io fern shoots, catching freshwater goby fish, planting sweet potato at Uluwini, you know, that kind. So the titles help to get at some of the topics. So that's another way to sort of get in again to the collection and get in to the content. Yeah, so yes, do the search, but also don't be afraid to browse for different topics. So say I click on this planting sweet potato at Uluwini. Like I said, it's a short piece related to that topic. So it isn't the entire hour-long program. It's a selection about that specific topic, right? And so we can see that immediately that it's only an hour, it's only 1 minute and 3 seconds. And yeah, this is the transcript for that section. Any questions about Kani'aina? Okay, cool. I'm gonna show one more thing, and I promise not to go over time. I swore that I wasn't gonna go over time. The one last thing that I want to show is the Combined Hawaiian Dictionary. And so I had mentioned this a little bit when we were talking about the dictionaries on Uluko. So Combined Hawaiian Dictionary is created and maintained by Kepano Trussell, and he is a lexicographer and linguist. He is not from Hawaii, Hawaii, but he started learning Hawaiian language maybe in the early 2000s. And he was already a dictionary maker. He had lived in Micronesia, and so he had helped to make some like Palauan dictionaries. And then he came to Hawaii and wanted to learn Hawaiian, and so he started putting together a database of different Hawaiian language texts to help him in his learning. I will say he's working with Kahakaula now, to create a Hawaiian language monolingual dictionary. He's worked on a Hawaiian English legal dictionary. He's he's an awesome guy, and I really enjoy using his database and collection of materials. And so, and I can send the link to La'akeama after. I have it in my slideshow, which I will definitely share with everybody after. But this is sort of like the reference page for his database. So see, there's some of the texts that he has in his database. And so when you search for a word, right? So say you're looking for manoa, you're looking for lawai'a, it's going to look for that word across all of these texts. So not so much as like a dictionary, you're looking for a definition, but to provide context, right? So how is the word lawai'a used in Olala No'eau? How is the word lawai'a used in the Baibala versus how it's used in La'iai Kawai, right? Being able to see all of those contexts and examples, again, can just help us to better understand that thought or that word, et cetera, et cetera. So I'll just show a quick example. Olala No'eau, the concordance for Olala No'eau, and a concordance again is just like a fancy word for index. It's a listing of all of the words in that book and where they are. So if I look for manoa, I'll click on M, I'll go to MAN just to get right to the MAN, and then scroll for manoa. Dun, dun, dun. So here is manoa in Olala No'eau and all of the places that you can find that word, right? Along with the Olala No'eau number and the sort of like the vehe and the translation for that. Not as exciting because I know that we can do that in our index, but probably more useful for words that aren't indexed, right? So say if I look for lawai'a, if I click on the word lawai'a, it'll take me to the dictionary, again, his combined Hawaiian language dictionary entry for lawai'a. So here I can see, right, how lawai'a is defined in Pukevehevehe, in Pukui and Albert, and in Andrews. But I can also see all of the places, if I click on more, all of the places where the word lawai'a is across all of the Olala No'eau, right? So I think this is like another like super useful feature from KUPUNA's website. So that's one concordance that I use a lot, is the Olala No'eau one. But he also has Hokeo, which is a universal search across his entire database. And so let's just look for lawai'a. And again, you want to make sure that you're using diacritics, or you'll get different results. And so across the whole corpus for KUPUNA's database, right, this is everywhere that lawai'a is. And if there was an English language accompaniment to the Hawaiian language text, then it'll be there on the right-hand side. If there's no English language accompaniment, then that whole right column will just be blank. But on the left here, you can see the reference, right? So Kopo 28th page in Kopo. And if he has that full text available from his website, then it'll show a link. Sorry, I'm trying to scroll. So you can see like there's no English accompaniment to Kawaku Kalahale, yeah? But if you were to click here, it would take you to the article where you could find this word. Anyway, yeah, I think it's super useful for us, again, to be just searching in Hawaiian language texts. And so I think those are some of the places that we can go to find that. I'm gonna stop sharing, and if there's any questions, happy to take them at this point, but also happy to kuka a bit offline, or if you want to email or whatnot. Mahalo again to La'akea for the invitation to present to everybody today. I'm super excited about this workshop series and all of you folks sort of like getting together. I think it's like an awesome community that you folks are building. Yeah, mahalo.
Mahalo Kiahiahi. We have a few questions. How do we know when Ulukau or Kani'aina is updated? Are there any announcements made somewhere?
No, no, there are not. It's a little bit of just sort of like checking in. For big projects, you know what I mean? When they announce a new collection, like Kani'aina, obviously there was a lot of promo for that. But as far as when new titles are added, it's not as publicized, and they don't have like a running page with like announcements kind of idea. So yeah, unless you work for them, like, it's mostly just like checking in.
Okay, mahalo. And then we have another question. Is there a tip or a trick to for searching phrases or names with multiple words to link them together rather than like searching each word separately?
Yes. You want to use quotations. So if I'm looking for Malama Aina, put the phrase in quotations.
Awesome.
And then you're at that, because then that makes that one term as opposed to two separate words.
Yeah. Great. Super helpful. Another question we got asked is, do you or Ulukau have a how-to handout for some of the tips that you just shared with us?
I do, and I'm sorry I didn't send to La'ake'auma sooner. I will make sure that I send that to her this week and make it available to you folks.
Mahalo nui. We will definitely get that out to you guys. If you folks have any other questions, you can throw it on the chat for Kiahiahi.
I know I got a little bit in the weeds. Sorry, I was trying not to get like too nerdy. There's a lot of stuff, right? And so yeah, I'll try to put some more stuff in the stuff that I send to the Huliawa Pa'a folks.
Mahalo. I think you have an audience full of nerds, so it's great.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, mahalo Kiahiahi. I've been reading the chat and everybody's saying that it's super helpful, super informative. Mahalo for that presentation, and Kepo'o as well. I think we've all learned a lot this 2 hours that we have right now. So again, I wanted to mahalo you both for kind of laying this foundation for the continuation of our workshops. And if we could all give them like a virtual thumbs up or a clap and to say mahalo as we try to close out this very first workshop. And so what I wanted to do right now too is share our resources and what we've been building for you folks. So the very first one is actually, majority of you folks should have gotten an email this morning from Lilia. And we've been building our, here they are. So we have additional resources. So we actually created an extension to our Huliawa Pa'a page right now. So all you folks have to do is to create your own account, and we did this because we want all of these resources to be protected, right? We don't want them all out just yet. It's specifically for you folks right now. And once you create this new account, you'll be able to see all of our handouts, our ha'awina. We're gonna create a PDF of this presentation. We'll also have the recording up for you folks to see. And I'll kind of show that right now. So huliawapa'a.org. So you'll click login, you'll create your own login. And then it'll bring you to this page. So here's where you'll find everything pertaining to our workshops, a little blurb about the inoa that Kepo'o shared this morning, and then each tab that'll take you to the resources to the respective workshop. And so right here, so if you ever lost the meeting code to our Zoom, you could click this right here and it'll take you to our Zoom meeting. Once you click on Ethnohistoric Research, which is our very first workshop, you'll see everything that you need to know, the agenda, handouts and resources. And so here we'll put out the handout from Kiahiahi as well, our ha'awina afterwards. And then if you missed it, there will be our survey, and we're gonna continue to do that in a little bit. But before we do that, I wanted to explain our additional training and support. So here's a quick blurb on exactly how that's going to work. And again, to try to mimic that we're actually there and helping you guys through these workshops as it would be if we were all together on Aina. And we wanted to give the opportunity to you folks to schedule a time with us if you need help, right? If you have me now that may take a little bit longer, if you want to go through this process again with us, or you need things to be explained a little more, this is where you would sign up for that. And we tried to make it as simple as possible. All you have to do is click sign up now, and it'll take you just to a Google form that I created. And so the way that it works is that the office hours or the support hours will be available not the next Friday, so not this Friday, but the following Friday. And so the experts or the presenters should be available on that Friday to help you with those questions. And so we give you an entire week to like go through your ha'awina, to develop your questions, and really on this time is when you'll be able to answer your questions, or schedule a time with us. And so we've tried to make it as easy as possible. On the bottom, there's tabs here, and it'll just take you to the day. And all you have to do is type in your name, your email, your org, maybe give us a little insight onto what your questions or your comments are. And then we split the time slots in the morning and in the afternoons to kind of accommodate with your folks' schedule and what you need help with. And then from there, we'll send you a Zoom link, and we'll be able to talk to you folks in Vala'au. But if it is a very simple question that can be answered quickly, you can email us directly, or you can email our admissions@huliaopa'a.org. So it says all of that in here. And then again, if you have any other, if you need extra help, you can always just email me directly, and we'll help you to navigate this page. And it was just a lot easier to put all of our resources in here instead of clicking through Google Drive folders and trying to get access that way. So we thought this was a little more helpful for you folks to see. And then as we go through the workshops, the resources will be loaded accordingly, or like as we go through it. So the resources for the map research won't be uploaded until we actually do map research, and so on and so forth. But yeah, if you guys have any questions about that, oh, okay, wait. I don't know if this is a question for me. Oh, so talking about the puke. So mahalo to Kua and to Natalie and KS that we were able to put together a box of puke for you folks. And so each organization should have gotten one. And really, it's just supplemental sources that we handpicked through the UH Manoa list that they were selling right now. And it's not pertinent for your research. It's just puke that we've used and we thought would be helpful to understanding Aina or understanding your own place. And it's just supplemental, nothing that you really need. But I was super excited because I love books, and I'm sure we have a room full of nerds right here too, according to this chat. So very excited and wanted to mahalo Kua and Nigel for really putting all of that together too. Super grateful for that. Yeah, if we don't have any more questions, I think one of the last things that we wanted to do is if we could get a quick survey from you folks.
Actually, okay, could I add one more thing?
Yes, of course, go ahead.
Sorry, just before, we all sign off here too, and mahalo nui e Keahiahi for sharing really good, detailed, in-depth walkthrough on how to use a lot of these resources. And, we've talked a lot today about different types of research. And just want to mention one of the resources that we have on the website for you all is a template for like a research log. So as we're doing the research, it's really fun. It's really cool. We'll find so much information. But one thing I find really useful is being able to log whatever you find. And so the ha'awina that you have, and along with those templates, will help you to do that, so that whenever you find something really cool, you can write it down. You can know what book, what author, what page number, so that you can have this really useful listing of info. So whenever you want to go back to it later on, like let's say you read one book today, a couple of years later, remember, oh yeah, I remember seeing this one mo'olelo about this place that mentioned this one okua, but where did I find it? You can look back at that log. And it makes it really easy for you to access. And then also if you're writing any kind of report or anything and you need to cite it, it'll make that really easy for you too. And also what's really important sometimes is to, maybe you might look through a source and you'll find that maybe it doesn't have certain information that you're looking for. That kind of stuff is also important to know because it'll help you anytime you're doing similar research. You'll know like, oh, I already checked this book for this. It's not there. I can move on to the next one and start spending time reading there. So just really wanted to highlight that as you know, you move on and tackle these ha'awina, and just want to point out more of those resources. And yeah, mahalo nui again.